Hello friends, how could I not start this video with a Ukrainian Sukhoi 27 flanker flying over the new defensive lines that are still being built behind the Zaporizhzhia front. The fighter bomber is performing evasive maneuvers, which indicates that it is near the front and therefore within range of the anti-aircraft weapons of the invading horde. Now we will see a nighttime shot from this M109A6 Paladin self-propelled howitzer, 155 millimeters American-made, operated by the armed forces of Ukraine against Russian positions. What's impressive about this video is that we can clearly see how the shell flies toward its target against the dark sky in the background. Good hunting. And maybe this is the video of when it landed on a position of Russian drone pilots who apparently did see it coming. This video is also quite impressive and shows the work of the side gunner of an Mi-8 helicopter equipped with an M134D minigun with which he turns it into a strainer, a Shahed drone launched by the horde at Ukraine's power grid. This is a horror video. The Night of the Zombie Orcs, in which an invader plays dead and suddenly jumps onto the mosquito, the one who explodes from the surprise. Good plan, Ivan. Just like this tourist Z who was wandering the fields near Novopavlivka during a storm at dawn. He didn't realize that night was falling and came face to face with a guided snowflake that hit him right in the middle of the forehead. Ouch, that must have hurt. To the mosquito. A Ukrainian mosquito operator center takes a near hit from a heavy artillery shell, which blasts the doors inward. The dialogue is, no. Is it coming for us? Is it for the neighbors or for us? Ears, ears. Damn, what the hell, damn. The doors are here. The door is inside. That's incredible. That's what you call having a pair of steel ones. 3 absolute legends. We move on to the air front since, on February 5, 2026, during a visit to Kiev, in the midst of Ukraine's severe winter energy crisis, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced his government's willingness to transfer the 14 Mikoyan Gurevich 29 fighter jets that are still operational in their air force immediately if Kiev considers them necessary. This confirms Poland's role as one of the most important and committed allies to the defenders, and that it had already previously donated a batch of 8 Mikoyan Gurevich 29S in 2023, to which it has added hundreds of tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, and self-propelled artillery, as well as equipment for tens of thousands of soldiers. The conditional nature of this transfer proposal reflects the evolution of reality 3 years after the start of the Zed invasion. Since the Mikoyan Gurevich 29 offers limited added value compared to the Western systems they are already integrating, such as the F-16 and the Mirage 2000, and eventually the Gripen. So the defenders must assess whether it is worthwhile to allocate resources and personnel to operate it. A platform that can fight, no doubt, but is on its way out. In any case, it's good to know that the defenders can count on 14 additional fighter bombers if they ever need them. On the same front, the possibility of speeding up the arrival of Gripen fighters to Ukraine keeps increasing because during the Singapore Air Show, which is taking place these days, the corporate marketing manager of Saab indicated that the company is willing to set up a Gripen production line in Canada to serve the potential contract for 72 fighter bombers of this type with that nation, and also to start producing units of the Echo and Foxtrot versions, which are the most advanced ones for Ukraine. Recall, they signed a letter of intent for up to 150 fighter bombers from the Swedish company. The offer is very attractive for the Canadian government, since it would generate around 10,000 direct and indirect jobs, in addition to helping increase the annual production of Gripens to 36 units per year, also including the line in Sweden. Canada is considering purchasing a fleet of Gripens to complement the F-35s it is receiving from the United States as a precautionary measure in response to Trump's threats to add the country as another State of the Union. In this footage, we see the crew of a Ukrainian Mi-8 helicopter shooting down a Shahed attack drone with machine gun fire as it was flying at a very low altitude, which they normally avoid to prevent crashing into the ground. This showed that Ivan had integrated Starlink antennas into these systems so that an operator could control it in real time to its target. This new strategy of Ivan was confirmed when two Russian Molniya kamikaze drones, equipped with Starlink terminals, were intercepted in flight, each carrying a Starlink antenna for remote control. This kind of solution turns these types of munitions into a much more dangerous and difficult to intercept threat, since they are more resistant to electronic interference and can fly over the treetops, appearing by surprise very close to their targets, thus avoiding the action of the defender's air defense network. They couldn't simply turn off the Starlink service, since their communications and operational control depend almost entirely on this service. But, on the other hand, you couldn't have Ivan's vultures flying around the rear looking for targets, as we saw with their attack on several F-17 decoys at a base 200 kilometers from the front. Thank God for these decoys. Many went after Elon Musk for supposedly allowing this, and among them was the Polish Minister of Foreign Affairs, Radosław Sikorski, who trolled Elon Musk through X. He urged him to take measures to prevent Russia from continuing to use the Starlink system to attack Ukraine, since that would surely affect the value of his brand. Elon replied by calling the minister a drooling idiot. However, the Minister of Defense of Ukraine took a more constructive approach and contacted Musk directly, making several proposals to solve this serious problem. As a result, within 24 hours, two critical measures were taken. First, a speed limit of 75 kilometers was implemented so that Starlink stations can operate within Ukraine, which is obviously below the minimum flight speed of drones. Z. And second, a national registry of authorized Starlink stations was implemented within Ukraine. Those that are not registered with the government will be deactivated by the company. Minister Fedorov publicly praised SPACEX and Elon Musk for their quick response, describing the measures as real results, indicating that Musk was a true defender of freedom and a true friend of the Ukrainian people. While the speed limit initially affects all terminals, including some authorized Ukrainian military systems on the move, Ukrainian units registered and verified through a whitelist recently implemented by the Ministry of Defense retain full functionality, even at higher speeds or in mobile modes, as needed for defense operations. Finally, Elon responded directly to Minister Fedorov, stating that the measures seemed to have worked and to let him know if he needed anything else. Meanwhile, the Russians are looking for new uses for their Starlink antennas, which have stopped working. For those who want to see additional content, we invite you to subscribe to our Patreon, where for just $1, you'll have access to uncensored war videos. Visit our store and discover items from distinguished Ukrainian units. Each purchase directly supports United 24, contributing to reconstruction, civil aid, and defense. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel.